Good? How do I look?
Pretty good.
Yeah, thank you.
Handsome as usual.
Well, as usual, yes. Okay, so hopefully the Zoom, people have all these links to my PDF. So essentially it's a PDF that has 2 pages. So this is what I'm going to share with you today. So the 4 channels basically have 4 modes. And this is documented in Dr. Janice Hadlock's book, wonderful book, Tracking the Dragon. Okay, so before I started Chinese medicine school, for some reason, I read her first book. This is the second edition. The first edition is probably, 60% the contents of this book. So I read her book, and all of a sudden, it's like, oh my goodness, Chinese medicine is so logical and simple, intuitive, and just extremely rewarding. It's not like we need to memorize all the points and what they do and right? It's really understanding the channels, okay? So today, that's what we're going to go through, okay? And once we have a good idea of what that is, and honestly, if this resonates with you and you would like to treat based on channels, okay, not based on points, channels and points are very, very different. Then I think you will have a very, very extremely rewarding career because it's just so interesting. Okay, so first let me go through the attributes of channels, and then I'll go through the 4 modes. Okay, so channels are electrical in nature. Okay, those are actually microcurrents with directions. Somebody actually did a whole lot of study on salamanders. Okay, salamanders are like these aquatic things that if they lose a tail, they grow a tail. If they lose a leg, they grow a leg. They actually went so far as they remove their head, and they actually grow a head. Okay, so amazing creatures that can regenerate. Okay, so scientists were very, very interested in doing, very curious why, right? And they end up, have a whole, I actually have a book on this thing, and it actually goes down to microcurrents. So they can remove a tail, for example, apply the right microcurrents with the correct direction, and at the tail location, it will actually grow a leg, for example. And they can even control which side of the leg are they, whether it's the front paw or the back or the left or right, and they can actually, create that just with microcurrents. Okay, so channels are very, very much like that. Okay, they are microcurrents that have directions. They're electrical in nature, so they follow all the electrical rules. So, for example, they flow from higher voltage to lower voltage and follow the least resistant path. So it's very, very much like a river, right? And because they're electrical in nature, we can actually feel them. Okay, that's really the magic from working on channels. We can feel them. Okay, and I'll talk more about what this will do in the clinic. Okay, can you imagine you can actually feel the channels like you have a genuine MRI machines or X-rays right at your fingertip, right? So you will actually do something, either with the needle or just with the touch, or just, ask them to say, I am thriving instead of I am surviving, right? And all of a sudden you can feel the energy change. You can feel the channel change, right? So no longer do we wait until say, oh, this is what we're going to do today, right? Next week we'll come in and hopefully your symptom feel better, right? So with channels, we're no longer chasing symptoms. We're not addressing symptoms anymore. We're addressing what's causing the symptoms, right? So hopefully at the end of this talk, you will have some idea of how much fun I have in the clinic. Okay. And because they're electrical in nature, they're responsive. They're real time. Okay. They don't change based on the weather, for example. Okay, spring, summer, fall, or winter. No, they don't change based on that. They change based on the current condition. Okay, channels are there to support our lives. Okay, we cannot say, okay, this dog is gonna bite me let me wait until spring for my liver energy to come up so I can run. No, we don't do that, right? You run right away. Channels are designed that way, okay? So that it's responsive, they're real time, okay? But they can get stuck, right? For example, if we feel life is not fair, then we continue to have liver qi stagnation, right? Or if we feel we're small, there's nothing I can do, we continue to suppress our anger, for example, then we live in liver qi stagnation. That's a channel stuck mode, okay? And we'll talk about that, okay? And how do we unstuck it, right? Once we understand why it gets stuck, it becomes so easy to unstuck, okay? And follow the path of least resistance. So, scars matters, okay? Scars are, the keloid tissues are higher resistance, so channels cannot flow through them, right? So channels are like rivers. So if you put blockages on a river, what you're going to end up with is a flood, right? So channels can have access condition, and on the other side of the access condition, there's always deficient. Okay, so when we talk about liver qi stagnation being an access condition, the lung channel, which are supposed to be supplied by the liver, the mighty liver river, is deficient. The lung doesn't have enough energy. So when we talk about liver qi stagnation is an access condition, and we need to resolve the access condition. Oftentimes we're not doing our patients a favor. Okay, our job is to remove the blockage. Okay, with the patient, we work with the patient to remove the blockage, and we talk about why. My first talk was actually the reasons why we have liver qi stagnation, right? And most of the time, it's not. It's a personal choice. Okay, liver qi stagnation is a personal choice. If we feel the world is so unjust, and and I feel righteous about it, or I don't feel it's fair, right? It's how we feel, okay, that causes liver qi stagnation. And our channel responds to thoughts. Okay, this is actually very dramatic. Okay, all my cancer patients, they come in, it's like, oh, I'm a cancer survivor, stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and the cancer metastasized into the spine. So I have, part of my spine is actually titanium, for example, right? And they all come in with the same mentality. It's like, I am a cancer survivor, okay, for 3 years, for 2 years, for 10 years, or something like that, right? And their channels shows that. Okay, if I feel I am a survivor, okay, and this thing can resurface any time, right? I'm just surviving. Then the channel runs one way. Okay, when we feel we are surviving, the Ren channel and the Du channel are not vibrant. Very, very obvious. If I feel like, okay, life is life is hard, life is tough, right? I have no choice, and I try to survive the best I can, right? Our head is down, okay? Our Ren channel and our Du channels are not vibrant, right? So often when they first come in, right, they lay on the table, they still have all their scars, surgeries, or whatever, right? And I would scan their channel, the Ren channel and the Du channel are just not going, okay? Oftentimes the Ren channel would get stuck right here. So people with chronic a sense of surviving unfair or unjust or something like that, their digestions are horrible, right? And reason is very simple, because the Ren channel doesn't go through. It creates an access condition right at the stomach, right? So I will ask them to do one thing. I say, okay, right now, close your eyes, okay? Have this voice inside of your heart, like, I am thriving, okay? It can be such a faint voice, or you can make it a little bit louder, right? Or you can scream, or you can curse if you want, right? And all of a sudden, their Ren channel and their Du channels are vibrant. They're just beautiful, okay? So channels change instantaneously what we think, okay? So what does that mean to us? What does that mean to us as practitioners? What does that mean to our patients, right? That means we can empower ourselves anytime we want with how we perceive, with how we think, okay? If we think life is not fair, good for you, life is not fair, okay? If we think we are empowered and we have a choice of how we live, good for you. You can do that too. Okay? So it's really up to us. So what does that mean? That means everyone can be empowered right at this moment. Okay? So in my clinic, to me, it's like people come in, they don't need to wait for a week or 2 weeks or 10 treatments to get better. They can get better right now. Their channels can flow better right now. Okay? And this is often the case. Okay, so in the next talk, I'll share more cases. Okay, yeah, but today we're going to focus on just the 4 basic modes. Okay, and there are only 4 modes. Okay, yeah. So this is documented in Neijing, Su Wen. Okay, chapter 13, I believe. Okay, 移经变气论. Okay, the transformation of channels and qis and that chapter. Okay, so in that chapter they mention 3 modes. Okay, they mention 神明, which is godlike. Okay, they mention 原死. Okay, 远 means far, 死 means death, far from death. Okay, so that's fight and flight. Okay, so this is amazing. Okay, you read this and they say 原死, right? Far from danger, far from death. Isn't that fight? I mean, that's a perfect description of fight and flight, right? There is also one more mode. Okay, so the godlike, the 神明 mode, right, is parasympathetic. Okay, 原始 is sympathetic. Okay, so these are the 2 modes that the Western medicine recognize. There's one more mode. Actually, there are 2 more modes. Or sleep is another mode, and there's one more mode called pause and dissociation. In Neijing Su Wen, chapter 13, it's called 静身. 静 means close. 身 means life. Stays close to life. Okay. So this is a mode that very few people understand, and in the clinic, do I see it? Do we see it? Absolutely. Okay, people with severe trauma, okay, they're not in fight and flight. They're definitely not in rest and heal parasympathetic mode. Oftentimes they're in pause and dissociation. Okay, we understand that we open a completely different world for ourselves. We open a completely different world for our patients. Okay. So rest and heal, the 神明 mode, right, the godlike mode, in parasympathetic, right? So in that mode, everything is smooth, right? Our breathing is normal, right? We can relax. It's like we're in Maui, nothing to worry about. We feel safe, okay? So the key thing for parasympathetic rest and heal mode is safe, right? And in that mode, we are Ren channel and Du channel dominant, okay? What does that mean? That means our Ren channel and Du channel are vibrant. We feel we belong. Okay, we feel we have a purpose. We feel good, right? So that's the clinical goal, right? Our goal is not to say, okay, you have this knee pain, we're gonna, make your knee pain less. No, to me that's not a good treatment goal. The treatment goal is for the person to experience a godlike parasympathetic mode. Okay, so to me that's empowering, right? Because once the person experiences that, it's like all of a sudden this person knows how to ride a bicycle. Okay, you have the sensation of riding a bicycle, right? And then if you don't, then you can ride that bicycle, right? To me that's empowering. Okay, to me my working, and I tell my class is like, our work is not to help another person. Our goal is to empower so the other person can do it, herself or himself, right? So in the godlike mode, right, 神明 mode, rest and heal mode, our midbrain is fully energized. Okay, our midbrain is magical. Okay, I really don't like magic, but certain parts of our body are really magical. Midbrain is one of those magical parts. Okay, midbrain is in charge of our sense of hope, joy, oxytocin. Okay, so we feel love. Somebody has a mic turned on Zoom. Also our autoimmune system, okay, and also clarity, the sense of clarity, right? So when we have, okay, let's say, people come to Chinese medicine school, right? And to me, I still don't know why I come here. I still don't know why I become a so-called acupuncturist. Why am I in this field, right, in the first place, right? I don't know. My family asked me for years, like, why'd you stop doing what you do and go to Chinese medicine school, right? I said, I don't know. I still don't know. But it feels that's what I'm supposed to do, okay? That is midbrain. That is not my left and right brain try to find reasons, excuse, justifications for what I do. So all of a sudden, when we're in the godlike mode, when we are Ren channel and Du channel are running well, we have intuition. We know what to do without have to know what to do. We don't need to be prepared. That's one of the biggest issue in the clinic is we are like, what do we do? Do we understand this condition? It's really funny, people come in and say, okay, I have condition, this condition, that condition, I have SIBO, I have this, I often ask, it's like, can you explain this to me? What is SIBO, right? Small intestine bacterial overgrowth. And this person look at me like, am I in the right place? This person doesn't even know this condition, right? Does it matter? It does not matter. Okay? When we understand these modes, right, when we put ourselves in parasympathetic mode, when our Ren channel and Du channels are running well, we are tapping into our innate wisdom of intuition. Our biggest issue is we need to know. Our biggest issue is that we need to help people. Where all along, all we got to do is to put ourselves back into parasympathetic mode. Okay, so in my third talk, I think is cultivation. Right, that's all designed to get us back into parasympathetic mode. Okay, how do we deal with our fear, right, with our internal triggers and right, things that prevent us from feel safe, from the feeling of safety. Okay, this honestly is what we address in the clinic all the time. Okay, yeah. So the next mode is sleep mode. Okay, sleep mode is not talked about, but around 11 o'clock, the gallbladder channel is the gallbladder channel time. Okay, the gallbladder channel basically goes from the side of the head, right, and go down. Okay, so what do we mean by channel time, right? These are the time where certain channels are running more vigorously, more vibrantly, with more voltage and current than other channels. So they are leading the way. Again, these are electrical systems, right? So when gallbladder goes down more vibrantly, the Du channel that comes up, okay, by electrical, this is an electrical rule, I guess, right? So when the flow of current in one direction is stronger than the other side can actually be suppressed. So the surge of gallbladder channel, right, actually suppressed or make the Du channel less vibrant, right? So then we are sleepy. Okay. So that's the best time for us to go to bed, actually, right? So often people are like, okay, around 11 o'clock, I can't open my eyes, but around 1 o'clock, you know what? I can't sleep. I cannot sleep anymore. Why? Because the gallbladder time has passed. Now we're into liver time, okay? And liver time actually doesn't, make our Du channel less vibrant. So the Du channel goes back, and we're going back to that thinking mode again, right? So sleep mode, and it's actually very interesting. Okay, so we observe in the clinic, right? We often ask, it's like, okay, people wake up at night around 1 o'clock, and they have this night terror. Okay, 1 o'clock is our liver time. Okay, so people with severe suppression, liver qi stagnation, right? Severe sense of insecurity in this life, right? They often wake up around between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock, very, very precisely. Okay, and they will have a tremendous amount of fear. Okay, or people wake up around 3 to 5 and they cough up a storm. Okay, lung trouble, lung issue. Okay, that can also be tied to liver qi stagnation. Okay, so sleep mode is when the Du channel, okay, normally the Du channel actually doesn't go to the top of the head, okay. When we are awake, it's a complete waste of energy, especially for me since I have no hair, for Du channel to go through the top of the head, okay. So when we are awake, okay, when we are vibrant and our midbrain is running, right, The Du channel actually comes over here, enter the brain, energize our midbrain, and come out of Yin Tang. Okay, that's the proper path. That's the parasympathetic path for Du channel to go through, to energize the midbrain. So we are creative, we are hopeful, we are full of love. Okay. The next mode is the fight and flight. Okay, Yuan Si. Okay, sympathetic mode. So in this mode, we sense there's a danger, or we need to expand, right? We're going after something, right? We're chasing that goal, right? And in that mode, in fight and flight, okay, so in fight and flight, it's, let's say I'm a mouse, okay, I'm being chased by a cat. Before the cat catches me, I am in fight and flight. I'm trying to run away from this, I'm trying to stay away, as far away from this danger or death the best I can, right? So my heart rate is up, my blood pressure is up, my blood sugar is up, okay? Why? Because I need all the energy I need, right? I need all the reaction and everything else, right? And during that mode, my digestion, right, my elimination, my circulation, my autoimmune system, everything else is suppressed, hugely suppressed, right? Because at that mode, running, get out of this danger is the utmost important, right? So all these secondary functions are not important, okay? So in fight and flight, we have this UB and gallbladder dominant, right? So we have the first divergent channel is the bladder channel. The urinary bladder channel divergent, the first divergent channel, right, is when we are in fight and flight, okay? So the UB channel that goes from basically Yin Tang, right, go through the side of the head, go all the way down, right, to the little toe, basically, right, and then join the kidney 1 at the sole of the foot, right, sole of the feet, right. This is the proper UB channel flow. When we are in fight and flight, in the first diversion, it actually goes to the knee, and stop at the knee and go and join the kidney channel, right. It's short circuit. Isn't that cool? I think this is so cool. So when we are in danger and we need more energy, right, guess what? Okay, the body knows, the channel knows, right? So it goes UB, go down to the knee, right? And boom, it joins the circuit, right? So the kidney channel has more energy. Then what does it do? In the ancient text, it says, okay, you go through the first divergent channel and you strike the kidney or strike the heart, right? To do what? Generate adrenaline. So our blood pressure is up, heart rate is up, right? Right? So get us to move quickly. That is, okay. When I first read about this, I almost fell out of my chair. It's like, oh my goodness, Chinese medicine. This is Chinese medicine, right? 2,000 years later, it conformed exactly to what adrenaline is working. They describe exactly how adrenaline was working 2,000 years ago. By what? By channels, right? And this is not a chemical flow. This is a qi flow. Because chemicals are too slow. Qi is faster. Electrical energy is faster, right? Okay. And we're hypervigilant, right? So then everything is up, right? And notice, okay, the heart rate is up, blood pressure is up, right? Blood sugar is up, right? Digestion, elimination, autoimmune systems, all these are down. Circulation is down. Your lymph node flow is down, okay? So in the clinic, to me, when people come in with symptoms, the first thing I look is not their symptom. The symptoms are just a consideration. Symptoms are just after prolonged, or symptoms are just results of channel behaviors, right? So if a person continue to be in fight and flight all this person's life, I actually have this one example, okay? This person has SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth, right? And all the, digestion issues, intolerance and stuff like that, right? Check if these people, these patients are in fight and flight. I literally have this psychologist, coming in with, severe stomach conditions, small intestine conditions, right? And I asked her, like, have you been in fight and flight all your life? She said, absolutely. Since I was 3 years old. Okay. So the goal, I don't know how to treat these problems, but I know we can change, right? With, working with the patient, we can change this fight and flight condition, chronic fight and flight channel mode to more rest and heal, godlike parasympathetic. And then these conditions automatically unlock themselves, right? You cannot put enough needles, you cannot prescribe enough herbs, to these people to say, okay, you're going to, improve this condition if the underlying fight and flight is still there. You can't do this because in fight and flight, you're not supposed to be able to digest well. You can't fight this, okay? This is predetermined, right? Okay. The last mode is the pause and dissociation, okay? This is when I am a mouse and the cat was chasing me and I was in fight and flight, so my blood pressure is up, my heart rate is up, my blood sugar is up, right? Everything's up, right? I'm so alert, I'm responding to everything, right? And all of a sudden I get caught by the cat. The cat's claw perforated my skin, severed my vein, for example, right? And all of a sudden, within that instantaneously, again, this is instantaneously, right? All my channels go whoosh, go into the Du channel. So in Chinese medicine, we learn Du channel is the reservoir of all channels. That's in pause mode, okay? In pause mode, all the channels whoosh, goes into the Du channel. And my skin, right, my entire body essentially is devoid of channel energy. And in that mode, magic happens, okay? My heart rate goes whoo, instantaneously way down. Why? Because if I'm pumping 200 beats per second, right, and my vein is severed, and my blood pressure is up, right, my heart rate is up, this blood flow is going to be like a fire hydrant, okay? So when in pause mode, whoo, right, the blood pressure goes way down, right? So in the ambulance, people will say, okay, the vitals are going down, right? The blood pressure are all of a sudden like 30 or something like that. It's to preserve this person's life. So your blood loss is not you buy this precious time to lose as little or as not to prevent the huge blood loss, basically, right? Isn't that amazing, right? So if I'm a mouse, right, and I get caught by a cat, right, all of a sudden I have all my channel energy goes into the spine. Boom, all of a sudden I am completely rigid because I have no channel energy. I am rigid, I'm cold, right, I'm not responsive, right? But somewhere inside the brain, okay, there are two questions that continue to be posed, continue to get, it's continue to monitor these two things. Okay, one, is the cat still around? Two, am I well enough to come back to life? So these two questions in pause mode. Okay, and these two questions and the subsequent 3 steps are the life work of Dr. Janice Hadlock, Dr. JJ. Okay, 5 branches, Santa Cruz. Okay, she spent at least 30 years on Parkinson patients understanding pause mode. Okay. People with Parkinson, they have tremors, right? The tremors are results of these two questions haven't been answered for years, for decades. Okay? Is the cat still around? Am I still in danger? Or am I well enough to come back to life? As long as these two questions were not answered properly, right, it will continue to get asked. So this person will have rigidity, will have these tremors. These tremors are internal tremors. These are the questions, okay, that results in the physical imbalance or the physical tremors. Very, very interesting, okay? So when people are in pause mode, Ren channel and Du channel, basically all the channels shut down. The midbrain shuts down, right? Because when we're in pause mode, we're not going to feel life is good, okay? Everyone is loving. I'm full of joy. I have a lot of hope. I'm very creative. It doesn't work when we're in the pause mode, okay? When I'm bleeding and life is in danger and the cat is around, right? Yeah. So the conditions to get a person, and dissociation is not life and death, right? But let's say I go hike, right? And when I come down, it's already dark, right? And all by myself, I twisted my ankle real bad, okay? In order for me to come down the hill, right, to get to safety, I have to dissociate myself from my ankle so I can still walk down, okay? So all these modes are saving lives, okay, to preserve our life the best it can, okay? So our body is really tremendously amazing, okay? In ancient days, or even in tribes, right, people are still doing tribes, right? So if we're in a tribe, when we are in the pause or dissociation, right, or even in fight and flight or any other modes, they will actually take us, right, and we'll have ceremonies for however long it needs for me to be fully back, to reassociate, right, to feel safe again, to have this confirmation that my environment is safe. I'm within my people, okay? It's okay for me to heal now. It's okay for me to come back to life, okay? So tribal people, right, which is our innate intelligence, do treat pause and dissociation. We don't these days. We measure the heart rate, and if the heart rate is not good enough, we pump it up or we lower it, right? There's a reason for the heart rate up. There's a reason for the heart rate low. There are reasons why people are rigid, right? Why people are having this kind of a stance. Arms are always curled. There's a reason for that, okay? When we recognize these will actually induce channel modes, right? And there's a reason why these are, get stuck in the first place. We are in a profession to truly transform people's lives. It becomes so rewarding, it's unbelievable, okay? So life and death can trigger pause and dissociation, right? Concussion can do that, okay? Heartbreak, right? Let's say, the husband, all of a sudden, the wife died after 40 years of beautiful, wonderful, heartfelt marriage, right? And boom, all of a sudden, it's just a complete shock, right? It can go into pause and dissociation as well, okay? Parkinson's disease, okay, is essentially a pause condition, okay? So these are the 4 modes, okay? So out of this one page, right, these 4 modes, the key is this, okay? Channels are ever changing based on environment, based on our thought, okay? So what can change? What can affect our channels? Okay, so this is the next page. Okay, so this is a diagram that I. So once I read this book, right, I want to use this. I want to use this information. Channels are. What I just described is fairly cut and dry. It looks like just knowledge, right? So it's cool, right? Okay, that's what channels do, but how can we use it? Okay, how can I use it? I want to use it. I want to use it on me, okay?
Can I have a question regarding the hypervigilant?
Yes. Okay, hypervigilant means life is not safe. Okay, hypervigilant, okay, we see this in the clinic all the time, right? People are like, okay, lay down, right? And their eyes are this big. Okay? And their eyes barely moves. Okay? They don't feel safe closing eyes. Okay? They're hypervigilant. They're checking all the time. Okay? They come in, they look at the room, they know where things are. The next time you move something, they'll probably know it as well. Okay? They're hypervigilant. Okay? Like PTSD are hypervigilant. Right? It's just a sense of ultra not safe.
So like the PTSD, they are in the fight and flight mode.
They could be, okay, so...
possible in dissociation?
Yes, thank you. Okay, so these modes are not mutually exclusive, okay? We are always in a mixture of modes. For example, nobody is in pure parasympathetic mode, okay? A normal human being walking around, or me talking right here, right, is a mixture of parasympathetic, which is rest and heal, okay, because my channels are still going well, but I am in a very high level of fight and flight as well, because I'm delivering something, okay? So I am more vigilant than when I'm in, more rest and heal, right? So we're always, normally, and can a person be in fight and flight and be in pause mode? Absolutely, okay? I see this very, very often. And what you see is, okay, let's say, because we do Tui Na, and honestly, Tui Na is the best way to approach channels, okay? Not needles, not herbs, okay? Why? Because our hands are our tools, okay? Hands are the, if I fell and my mom is around, the first thing she would do is to put her hands on me, okay? Our hands do things far more than we will ever know, okay? If my channels are in fight and flight, people around me will know, they will sense that I'm in fight and flight, okay? When I connect to loving kindness, when my channels are running more in parasympathetic rest and heal mode, my hands are in rest and heal mode, okay? So my hands are healing hands. Everyone's hands are healing hands, okay? It is so important for ourselves. The only person that we can ever treat, ever, okay, is ourselves. So when we do that and we work on our channels, we understand why we can get stuck. Why am I in fight and flight? Why do I feel I'm never good enough, right? Why, right? If I feel life is not safe, not fair, right? And I always feel like I'm doing things for others, right? And my channels are not going well, change ourselves. Really look into ourselves and say, I am this way for a reason, right? And I'm going to love myself, and I'm going to reveal my true nature, which is godlike, which is Senming, right? We have this built in. So everyone's hand, honestly, are healing hands. In my clinic, when parents take their kids to come in, right, I get, and they say, okay, my kids have this problem and that problem. I often do the opposite. I say, okay, parents, lay on the bed. Okay, kid, put your hand on your parents and start love them. I love my mom. I love my dad. That's all you got to do. And that will be healing. That kind of healing is, nothing can compare to that kind of healing. No needles are strong enough or big enough to say, I love you, okay? And then change a person's channel mode. Nothing, okay? Yeah. So in our clinic, right, because we do channel work and we put ourselves in rest and heal, right? We connect to loving kindness, like the next page, right? We are mutually healing with our patients. We're not there to sacrifice our body and soul. We're not there to say, okay, I'm absorbing all these evil qi. Good thing that I learned qigong so I can, really remove these things afterwards. No, we don't do that at all. Okay, in our clinic, what we do is we mutually heal with our patients, all at the same time. We have a lot of joy. Okay, yeah. So the next page is really the things that can affect our channels. Okay. And they are emotional, they're physical, okay, perspective, and how we connect to loving kindness. Okay. So I have about 15 minutes, so I'm going to go through this real quick. Okay. So to really go deep, I would need hours and hours. Okay. That's why I have classes, and so I have a special Tui Na class in 5 branches. Okay, so far I have 3 registrations. If I don't meet the 7-person registration, the class will again get canceled. Okay, which is fine. Okay, but in the class, that's basically what we do. Okay, we really share deep into channels and how we work and stuff like that. Okay, If my class doesn't happen, I will have my free clinic. So if you can, please stop by. And we do this firsthand. Okay, everything is about experience. Okay, all these talks are just to see if we resonate. Honestly, that's what's happening. Okay, if we resonate, if something that I talk about resonate with you, it's not what I say; it's what you have. So hopefully, we resonate to a certain degree. Okay, emotional, okay, fear and anger, boundary, okay. So in terms of emotions, there are so many other emotions like shame or jealous or, sadness or hate and right? To me, there are only two, in clinic, what I resolve are two basic emotions, fear and anger, okay. Are they bad? Are they good? They are essential. They are critical, okay. We need to honor our fear. We need to honor our anger. Okay? Our problem is we suppress our anger. We suppress our fear. And with fear and anger suppressed, we're just hypervigilant. We don't feel safe. Okay? When we drive, right? We drive, and when we're driving with anger and fear all the time. We cannot turn off our anger and fear. It's our basic protection. Okay, when we drive and we maintain our road, right, everything is nice and safe, and the car next to us comes in a little bit, we automatically do this and go back to safety. When that happens, thank or be grateful, right, of our fear, which keep us alert, and our anger, which protects our boundary. That's what fear and anger are for. When we evade this danger and go back to safety again, right? After 0.8 seconds, that's when we know we are almost hit. And we start to blame the other driver, and we start to get into a road rage, and that's with our judgment. So anger plus judgment becomes angry, okay? So the problem is not anger, the problem is judgment. So the people who are the worst drivers are the people who get triggered, right? And they start to go into a rage, then they endanger everybody, okay? All my PTSD patients are basically like that. They are huge. They have huge issue with road rage, okay? And it becomes actually at some point it becomes pretty simple for them to change. And I ask one question: is what's your intention and what's your action? Is your action aligned with your intention, right? And then they can see, like, okay, when they go into a road rage, what they want to do is they want to go home safely, right? Or they want to go back to their kids, in one piece. But when they do that, they are putting themselves at risk, right? So again, even for PTSD patients who have tremendous amount of aggression and anger and hate and everything else, my advice to them, I say, you got to respect your anger. Okay. At first, they would look at me like I was crazy. It's like, I'm not angry enough. I say, you are angry, but you don't have the proper anger. You don't have a good boundary. That's why you're angry. When we don't have a good boundary, let's say my castle is broken, right? I can be basically in two extremes. I can say, okay, whoever want to come in, and as long as you don't take my life, do whatever you want. Or I stand on the top of the castle and I just keep throwing arrows and throw hot waters or oils in people. I show the aggression side to protect myself. Okay, neither way is honoring our anger. Okay, yeah. So for anger, okay, often I find in the clinic the hardest people to treat are the people who have been chronically depressed and suppressed and eliminate their anger for decades or even lifetimes. Okay, for patients like that, we really need to do things to awaken our anger within. Okay, because without anger, there's no boundary. Without boundary, we cannot heal. Okay, we don't feel safe. Okay, so that's the emotional side, right? Isn't that cool? I mean, to me, that's all we need to sort of understand, and then the rest is use our intuition. Okay, then we just feel, we observe. Okay, we don't need to know a lot. Okay, yeah. So physical issue can affect channels. Okay, scars, blockages, illness, pain, posture. Okay, posture is our biggest issue. Okay, and posture is related to emotions as well, right? When I feel small, I go this, and when I do this enough times, for decades, right, even lifetimes, I start to feel, I change my channel. My posture start to get real bad, right? But the moment I feel like I am thriving, or I am a lighthouse, okay, I'm not going to be a candle in the wind anymore, or I'm going to love my kids, okay, because I want to be ready. I truly want to love them without condition now. I'm not going to be a candle in the wind if I love them and they don't love me back, and I feel terrible and I feel, so righteous about it, right? No, I'm going to love my kids. When I feel that, or when I think that way, I'm going to change my posture. I'm going to change myself physically. Why? Because my channels are changing, because my emotions are changing, because my perspectives are changing. Okay? My connection is changing. So if we have a broken family, or a family we want to repair right now, if there are people we love and we feel like, I can't get close to this person, well, whatever I do, we actually more apart. Congratulations, you have a perfect scenarios to practice this. Okay? And I guarantee you, we can all get out of this. Okay? We can all be a lighthouse. As long as we feel, I am a lighthouse right now. Doesn't matter what your condition is. Okay? It can be in the middle of a divorce, the middle of a, anything, cancer, for example, right? Can you change how you feel? Can you think? Can you feel that you're thriving? Absolutely. And to me, this is using channels, right? Because channels respond to our thoughts. Yeah. Physical scars, okay? Very, very important, okay? Physical scars can put us in fight and flight by physically, okay? We talk about this first diversion, right? So when people go into fight and flight, they go into first diversion, and when we are in first diversion, in fight and flight, the heart rate goes up, blood pressure goes up, right? So I literally have one patient, actually not a patient, it's a owner of at least two Chinese medicine clinic. Probably like at least three generations of Chinese medicine doctors. She had a high blood pressure she couldn't resolve for decades, right? I saw her, before I got the license, I saw her, it's like, I scanned her and say, well, there's some issue with your right leg. And she said, yeah, I have a scar there, right? I treated the scar. The next time I saw her about a week or two ago, her blood pressure was normal. Okay? She has a physical blockage that put her channels into fight and flight. In fight and flight, our blood pressure is supposed to be high, right? And that day she called me a master, right? I know I wasn't a master, but I do know my channels, okay? So channels are like rivers, okay? Points are like cities along a river, okay? Troubles can happen anywhere along the river. So when we use channels this way, points are not very important. Yes?
Okay, so does the channels travel in between fascia?
Yes.
So that's why it's important to keep the fascia free.
Yes. So channels are everywhere. Channel actually covers every cell of our body. Every cell. Okay, we got billions and billions of cells. So channels goes to all of them, right? And through fascia. So that's why Tuina is important. Okay, feel the rigidity of your body is important. Okay, create devices like this is a golf pin that I send it down. Right, feel. This point. Right, these points in your body, in your face. Right, if these are painful. And this is how we can work on our channels, literally. Channels are real, okay? Poke in between the fingers, right? If these 八风八邪 points are hurt, are painful, I guarantee you have dampness. Okay, your channels are not flowing well enough to remove all these dampness. Okay, and in between the third and fourth finger, in between these webs, if this is really painful, you most likely have pericardial channel blockage right here. This point will be painful, and you're going to have chronic liver qi stagnation. Okay, channels are real. Yes.
So for a lot of people, that's their fascias already attached, like firmly to the muscles.
Yes.
Got, like very little room, and then if you want to help them break it up, it can cause a lot of pain.
Actually, no. Actually, no pain.
No?
Okay. So for chronic condition, right? Like the lady that we just treated upstairs. Okay. This is the third time. I think it's the third time she came. Right. The first time she was completely rigid. Okay. The second time her right leg couldn't move. Okay. This time it's basically you can't tell. Okay. Why? Because we use yin tui na. Okay. We don't work on people. We hold people. Okay, our hands are, when we connect to loving kindness, when our Ren channel and Du channels are going well, when we connect to the heart of goal of our patients, when we see our patients as perfection, right, they start to heal. They change their mode. Their body is rigid, their fascias are holding on. Why? Because they have fear, right? Because they were in fight and flight or they're in pause and dissociation. When they change their mode, all of a sudden, everything starts to flow. You'd be surprised how fast, still fascia by definition moves slower, right? 10 minutes or 20 minutes or something like that, but you will feel you don't have to work on them. The rigidity, we cannot break a rigidity. It's like a mouse, right? Even a child, I don't know if you ever open up a child, when the child is like this, you can't open up a child. You can't even open up a mouse when the mouse is going like this in pause mode. Rigidity has so much power. It's designed to protect our life, right? So when we feel a person is rigid, that's why, again, I can't not overemphasize Tui Na, okay? I know Tui Na is not tested, right? It cannot be tested. There's no, you can't make up a test and say, okay, this person is really good at Tui Na, okay? You cannot have an electronic test to test out Tui Na, right? But Tui Na is so important for us to understand, to know, to feel. And to me, that's the essence of Chinese medicine, okay? Yeah.
Extend from the question. Some people, their back, like you can feel like, well, I try to feel different people's skin. And then some people are easy to pull up, but some people are very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Even, I'm not sure if by having them relax or something can change that.
Yes, you can.
Yeah?
Takes time, but it can.
Without physically.
So the first thing, so before we...
like I read something in Europe, but that's actually been practiced in China for a long time. It's to...
Yeah.
What is that thing called?
Okay, so I understand. So it's basically like this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So for my kids, we call it 老牛推车, okay, the old cow plowing the field, okay? So I do this on people's back, right? But you got to feel safe before you can do this, okay? So it's the question is not how tight a person is. The question is, does the person trust you? Does the body trust you? Okay? So that's why we need to feel. Before the person may say, oh, John, I trust you completely with my life. The body goes, hell no. Okay? But if I just provide the body with a little bit of stimulus, for example, if I just hold a hand, okay? I'm providing stimulus to this hand to say, okay, the hand is being held, right? The body itself is going to go like, what's going on? Why is this person holding my hand? Okay? Until enough time has passed and it's like, nothing's going on. I don't think this person is going to cause us harm. Okay? Let's relax a little bit. right? Let's relax a little bit. And then you'll find this whole hand becomes like noodle. Okay. Prior to that, it's rigid because it doesn't feel safe. Okay. So again, this is Dr. Janice Heller's book. Okay. She used Yin Tui-Na for all her Parkinson patients because you cannot overpower rigidity. Okay. Yeah. Okay. This is 1 o'clock. Okay. So let me just go through this real quick. Okay. So perspective. If we sympathize, so in my clinic we don't help. Okay, when we try to help another person, it's like, oh, I feel so sorry you have this condition and that condition. Okay, we are taking power away from that person. Sympathy is judgment. Okay, do not so that's why to me Chinese medicine is all about cultivation. We can only treat at our cultivation level. If I feel bad about somebody, right, we are taking power away from that person, okay? There's no, every person's trauma and everything else, right, to me is precious for them, okay? It's very, very important that way, okay? We got to respect that, okay? Empathy is like a mirror, okay? So our ability to empathize is, to feel how the other person feels. So empathy is like a mirror, right? So the person comes in, we see it in the mirror, right? The person goes away, the mirror should have absolutely nothing, right? But when we sympathize, part of that person remain in the mirror. Okay, then we become wounded healer. Then we start to carry other people's stuff. Okay, and compassion is basically no judgment. Okay, so compassion. So it's like, how do we remove our judgment? Right? Is no judgment. Right? Is to love unconditionally, and I can talk about that for another 3 hours. But the key really is to connect to loving kindness. Okay, trust. There's an energy called loving kindness. Okay. Everyone has a heart of gold. Okay, no matter how harmful, how many people I have hurt, or how many people have hurt me, I still have a heart of gold. Okay, I literally have treated people who have been in jail. Right, they don't know who their parents. They don't know who. I got this one person. He didn't know who his dad was. His mom probably didn't even know. His mom is a drug addict, right? He was in and out of jail. Okay, can he still heal? Can his channel still go, from severe fight and flight to rest and heal? Can he do that? Absolutely, because we all have a heart of gold. Okay, and when we do that, everything has a purpose, right? The things that we have gone through has a purpose. Otherwise, it's like, okay, life is not fair. No, life has purpose, right? And really truly exercise our choice, because what we think change our channels, right? So when we put all these together, all of a sudden every case it's just, honestly, I just feel with gratitude every time I talk to people. I have somebody comes in and we start to unfold a life story. Okay, we don't get here because all of a sudden I have this condition. No, we get here because we have a life story, okay? And the life story is really a script, right? It really change our channel, put us in a certain modes. When we treat that way, as doctors, right, we transform ourselves and we create an opportunity, to transform other people, for other people to transform themselves from within. So every condition that I see, honestly, to me is an opportunity. People with knee pain, poor posture, really angry at home, right? Depression, cancer, all these are opportunities for transformation. Okay, so hopefully this resonated a little bit. Thanks, guys. Okay.
Thank you, everyone. So hopefully you guys will join next week. Okay?
Yeah, I can answer some questions.
Any questions?
Tracking the Dragon, okay?
The two, right? Also the intern.
Yeah, there's the intern. So I have copies in my clinic, so if you...
You
Can
can
I
buy
see
it
it?
from John.
Thank you. Thank you.
You got them?
Yeah, you can find them, you can order it from her website, but I do have copies, yeah. And if you guys on Zoom or anybody who hear this in the future, right, if you want to, you know, right now on Wednesday I have these open clinics from
Second floor.
Yeah, second floor, room 220 from 10 to noon. Yeah, stop by, okay? You know, really feel channels, okay? We can really feel them. Yeah, that's where the real fun is. Yeah.
For Wednesdays, is this your class?
No, this is just open clinic, yeah.
Okay.
So this semester my class didn't happen because low registration. So I used that time for basically open clinic. So anybody can walk in, practitioners, you know, students, patients, yeah.
Yeah, please please sign up to John's class. Next semester he's offering again on Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
So
Spatial trainer.
yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I'm enrolled right now, Bowen.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I've been trying to enroll in that class for a few semesters now.
Yeah. If for some reason, okay, again, if for some reason that the class still didn't happen, if you can reserve that time and just honestly, you would love the open clinic. In my clinic, there's no prerequisite. All you got to do, honestly, anybody, okay, you just need to be able to say, I am a lighthouse. If you can have that thought, you are welcome in my clinic. You know, you can practice. All you got to do is, I am a lighthouse. That to me is the only, that's the only requirement. You know, I don't need people who know points, I don't need any prerequisite. You don't need anything, just the heart. Chinese medicine is all about our heart. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll see you next Wednesday, whether or not the class gets approved or stays or whatever.
Yes. Just come in, okay? So I think this whole semester until August 15th, right? Or something like that, the open clinic will be there, okay? Yeah, I would love to, come in, bring a patient. Some people bring their internship. They actually get their patient to come in, and we have so much fun, You get a person from like a plantar fasciitis to unfold this person's entire life story of suppression, depression, injustice, right? And they feel like their entire life was open. They know what to do now, right? And all of a sudden, this heel pain, this plantar fasciitis becomes a gift. This is what's going on in my clinic. This is where it's so rewarding that way. Yeah, thanks. Please come in.
Thank you.
Thanks.